Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.
3 days to go in the tournament. 2 teams that are still standing for the right to play RCB in the final. Qualifier number 2. Punjab Kings, the table toppers. Mumbai Indians, the 5-time champions. All roads lead to Ahmedabad for the final 2 games of this year's Indian Premier League. And we build up to qualifier number 2. PBKS versus MI on Nexa presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. We've got Shreyas and Hardik reunited in Ahmedabad with Ravi Shastri. Moody and Aaron are reunited on the couch. And might I also welcome Shri Dustin Silgardo, the right honorable Dustin Silgardo. What a look, Dustin.
Fitting for the occasion.
What a look that is. This is bad. I've seen some of Dustin's wedding pictures and he was not as impressed.
I was going to say, this is the actual finals outfit.
Yeah.
You peaked a day early.
Can you imagine what the finals are?
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my God.
No pressure.
Tom and Varun are all suited up, looking good, all set. What will decide this big final, given the contrasting last game both teams had? Tom, set us up.
I think composure. I think in these types of games, or any games, but particularly in finals, they're key moments. And it's being, number one, aware of when those moments are, and number 2, grabbing them with both hands and not letting go of it. We see quite often, you know, when you have 2 good sides, which we have here, going punch for punch, as soon as you drop your guard, you're suddenly out of the game. And that's where an inexperienced, uncapped group of Punjab players will need to make sure they're up like this all game.
Does that already make you feel like big moments and experience, like Tom says, that Mumbai play big moments better than Punjab?
100%, because they've got those players who've been in those big moments a lot of times. Not just the players, the support staff, a lot of big brains around the Mumbai Indians team. And also, for me personally, I think today, how Punjab play Bumrah is going to be key.
Right.
Because he's that one full stop who comes in and plugs those gaps. If Punjab want to take him on and take him on well, Shreyas Iyer is somebody who's done it in the past. He has decent average versus Bumrah, not a bad strike rate as well, somewhere in the 130s. If he could be like, you know what, I'm going to take on Bumrah and maybe reduce his impact in the game, or they want to see him off. But as we saw last game, Bumrah was the person who changed that game completely on its head.
What are you looking forward to today, Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, just to quantify the difference in the experience, I think looking at the last 11s or 12s that these teams played, Mumbai had more than 1,000 IPL games between them in the 12. Punjab just over 500. So almost double the number of games. MI have, I think, 6 players who've played 9 or more playoff games in the IPL.
Wow.
And with Punjab, it's only Shreyas Iyer and Chahal, if he plays, who've played 9 or more playoff games. So there's a vast difference in experience, which is why I think a lot of people think Mumbai are favourites. But then Punjab, maybe you could say, you know, with the youth, they have that sort of license to just go out and look at it as an opportunity.
I guess it's about history over here. Mumbai with the experience of playing playoffs. Dustin brings out the numbers which are in stark contrast. But history can also be on Punjab's side, given the top 2 positioning, given the fact that increases your chances significantly to have that one game off which they did, and they're in a better place right now. So the fact that they're 1-2, why do we believe like that is such an important advantage after you've lost the previous game? Do you sense it just sharpens preparation? You come out far better for qualifier 2, even though you've lost qualifier 1?
There's a couple of things. I think, firstly, physically, it gives you an extra day to rest, recover, be at your best. You know, the mental fatigue as well is quite a considerable one, particularly at this stage of the IPL. It's a long tournament.
Yes.
And a lot of people ignore the mental strain that, you know, players and staff have during that, you know, long sustained period. And I think the other important factor is that the travel. You know, Mumbai has had to do a lot more travel to get to this point. And, you know, there you've got another new hotel, you've got another new room, you've got a different bed, you've got different pillows, all those things. You've got to pack, you've got to unpack, you've got to travel on buses to airports and all those things. Okay, a lot of people think, oh, well, that's fine, but not when it's the 40th flight you've taken over the last 2 months and the 25th hotel that you've checked into. You know, I'm exaggerating a bit, but you know what I'm saying? It does take its toll.
What do you think a young bunch of players would have experienced in the last 48, 72 hours. Try and put yourself in the Punjab Kings dugout where, other than Shreyas, it's not like you're looking at the kind of players that, say, MI's young players can look at or RCB's young players can look at, where you still have the Kohlis of the world and whatnot. How do you sense they would have been feeling? They would have watched the eliminator as well. What do you sense they would have felt as you want to try and sort of set focus for this game?
I think Punjab qualifying in the top two was key, because especially because of their inexperienced unit. That's because no matter how much you prepare somebody for an event, you can talk to them, you can give them ideas, talk about plans, but unless they've been there, felt that pressure, they would never know what it is. Now they've had that, and then they're coming into this game knowing that, okay, this is how we shouldn't or should react in a pressure game, and now they're coming into a very high pressure game again, but they have the experience. So this is compared to Mumbai, this is a very inexperienced team, but when you talk about playing two back-to-back pressure games, I think they're as experienced because they have one game under the belt at the moment.
Do you sense they would have also looked at Mumbai in that GT game and said, yeah, they've got all these superstars, but they're beatable. Gujarat smashed them around for 210. Had they taken their catches? I mean, you have those sorts of conversations. Okay, we take our catches over here, we're probably keeping Mumbai down to 170.
Yeah, I mean, they just beat them in their last league game. Right? So they've got that, and that was pretty clinical, honestly, from Punjab. I think there's a lot of things they'll take tactically from that. The number of slower balls they bowled, I think there were some 30 slower balls or just under that they bowled, very successful there. And then with the batting, it was just such smart batting from Inglis and Priyan Sharia. So those matchups are fresh, right? Inglis taking down Mitch Santner, which was a big thing. They did play out Bumrah in that game, gave him just a 1 wicket. So there'll be a lot of fresh memories for Punjab that are very positive when it comes to the matchups with MI.
Also, the big thing is Punjab are playing out of Mullanpur. They just have a 40% win rate, and Mullanpur 78% away from Mullanpur. And Shreyas Iyer, man, his average is about 5 or 6 in Mullanpur, and he would be really happy to come away. Has had a very good game at Ahmedabad once before, and he's key to their attack. I'm going on saying this because their batting attack. Number one, he's obviously the most experienced player, won an IPL trophy, and he's played all these bowlers time and time again. So if Shreyas Iyer gets going today, Punjab can be in the game.
Good start to the season at Ahmedabad, where Punjab won. MI didn't win there.
Yeah.
I was actually very curious when you said attack for a batter. I know you're speaking as a bowler for so many years, but it's quite amazing how we always refer to the bowlers as a bowling attack. We never refer to the batters as a batting attack.
This is a batting attack, attacking batting by all of them.
I just think it tells you something about who sort of attacks as a team and pair, and batters.
Yeah. I suppose the bowler has the first throw, don't they, or bowl. So they're the ones that are attacking the contest.
Wow.
And you're responding to that attack.
Tom, that's why I have you here, Tom. This is why Tom Moody's made millions of dollars as a coach. Just breaks it down for all levels of intelligence to understand so easily. I am so keen to know the teams again. Is Yuzi Chahal back? What about Deepak Chahar and Richard Gleeson? Let's find out. What have we got? Firstly, I can tell you Shreyas has won the toss. PBKS are going to bowl first. Shreyas talks about the covers being on overnight, a little bit of rain. I believe there was a little bit of rain in the afternoon today too. Right now the forecast is clear, which is what we want. And we'll just come to teams in a second when we have a look at Punjab. Welcome back. Yuzi Chahal, the IPL's leading wicket taker with the tournament on the line for the Punjab Kings, will play in qualifier number 2 against the Mumbai Indians. And Vaishak Vijay Kumar, who had a key role to play at this ground, stopping Shafin Rutherford and the Gujarat Titans when Punjab prevailed earlier in the season. Jamieson, Omarzai still backed. That is the team they've gone with. That is a big boost, fair to say, Tom Moody, the return of Chahal?
Definitely. To have an experienced wrist spinner is worth its weight in gold, particularly at a venue that we believe is going to be a very good batting surface. So you need that variety in your attack, and particularly wrist spin is a real point of difference. So he'll bring all his defensive skills when he has his little moments or openings where he feels he can attack. You know, again, he's got the ability to pick up wickets in that middle phase.
Let's try and simulate the Punjab conversation when they were making this team. Chahal's in, all right, we're moving Harpreet Brar out. We're not bringing Bartlett for Omarzai. No, we're keeping with Omarzai, but we are bringing Vaishak in and try and understand what they might be thinking here.
They're obviously thinking defending at the back end. We saw how explosive the Mumbai Indians batting can be towards the back end. Pandya 3 sixes the other night. Again, at a very crucial time, Tilak Verma got 3 sixes, and then Amandir has proven himself time and time again how he can accelerate towards the back end. So I think they've gone with Vaishak so he can defend towards the end. And obviously, Yuzi Chahal coming in, big boost.
Are you a little surprised, Tom, that they haven't gone with Brar because he had a pretty good game against Mumbai, 9 overs, 36? Or is it just the ground they think this particular pitch won't favour spin?
Well, I was just double checking to see his name's not there, and I'm thinking I'm really surprised. Yeah. You know, I get the fact Chahal's come back into the side, absolute no-brainer if he's fit. But I'd be so tempted to play Brar because he has been one of the constants since he's come back in, since the break. He's been very good. And he can, and particularly against this side, a left-arm spin option, I think, could be missed.
It's interesting. How would you have fit him in the team? Would you have gone one pacer shot in Vaishak? Would you have given Omarzai a place on the bench and seen maybe if you need him?
See, personally, I would have played Bartlett, the more specialist bowler, because I know that I can bank on 4 overs. Okay, we're not relying on swing, seam. This is a batting surface, we believe. So I would have gone with a more qualified pace bowler that's exclusively his skill.
Yeah.
And I then would have gone, left out a domestic pace bowler and played the extra spinner.
The only thing with Bartlett in this game, per se, is that he bowls a slightly shorter length than Omarzai. And Bairstow, the moment you drop slightly short to Bairstow, he's all over you. So maybe that's the only thing they saw, but yeah, Bartlett would have been a great option as well.
I guess Bartlett, does he take the new ball off in Bartlett? He's more middle, or is he new ball?
New ball.
Yeah, he can take the new ball.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So power play predominantly. And you brought up the number of pace-off deliveries, which perhaps also indicates the combination of a Vaishak and Omarzai.
Yeah, Vaishak had a pretty good game against Mumbai. I think his figures were a bit spoiled because he had that one huge over towards the end. But before that, he had a pretty good game, keeping Sky quiet through the middle. But yeah, so I guess it's a hard one because it was kind of, I guess, Vaishak or Brar. And yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because they both did fairly well against this opposition.
Quick reaction on the toss before I go to MI's team. Chasing for Punjab Kings. Is that an important toss for them? Is that advantage Punjab?
I'm led to believe both captains wanted to bowl first. So that tells you something that it's a very good surface and chasing on a flat wicket. And if there's potential of dew as well, all the odds are stacked in your favour. They do sort of have a rough guide of, what dew means from a difference from first innings, second innings. And, some people think it's, up to 20 runs, which is quite a considerable amount of your score.
Not a bad difference in batting first and second for Punjab, where they won 80% of their games chasing. But yes, Varun, is it?
I think with chasing, if they can restrict them to not a very big total, that also gives them a lot of bandwidth to plan how to play Bumrah. Then they can really attack few bowlers, plan how to play, how to go about their innings around Bumrah. Because I think he's key with the way he's been bowling. I mean, through these years, especially in high pressure games, he just somehow manages to come in at the right time and give them those breakthroughs. They can just plan around Bumrah a little better.
Just on that, I think that's the other thing that you've got to make sure going into contests like this that you don't overanalyze one particular bowler like a Bumrah. Like Bumrah, it's a bit like what teams would have done over many years for Rashid Khan or Matai Muralidharan or all these sort of X-factor type bowlers, is that sometimes you can get caught down a rabbit hole looking just at one particular threat. Who's to say Bumrah's not going to have a day off today? He might have a poor day, bowl a few leg stump half volleys. You might get a couple of lucky outside edges to go for 40. You might go for 40. But if you end up getting too obsessed with one particular person that is a threat, and we know he's a threat, you can get a little bit caught up with your own game for the rest of the 16 overs.
Yeah, and just on that point, I think in the last game, Josh Inglis actually played Bumrah really well because he was willing to do the defensive part of it when he needed to, but then when the ball was there to be hit, he hit some pretty risk-free boundaries, just some nice drives. He wasn't trying to go after Bumrah as such, but when it was there to be hit, he did manage to get some important boundaries off him. So they did that well in the last.
That's to my point in that he's got a defensive mindset, but he's still got very open to taking them on. And I think if you just go in with just a negative mindset, as in defensive, you can not only get minimal runs, but you can also get knocked over.
I was just looking at the Punjab fixtures this year. It's interesting when they chased 4 out of 5. Every game that they've chased successfully has been a less than 200 score. The one time they had to chase more than 200 against Rajasthan Royals a long time ago at Mullapur, they fell well short. So what they've done well is keep their batters down to a sub 200, which allows you to play Bumrah, I guess, the way that is. So if MI get 200 today,
Yeah, and
that's interesting.
on the Ahmedabad pitch, it has been a bat first surface. A bat first surface this season. I think six of the 7 games have been won by the team batting first. There have also been 6 200 plus totals.
Yes.
Batting first here, but the teams batting second. It's not like there's been due. There have been a few times they've got close. I think there's 1 200 plus total that did get chased down, and a couple of 230s where the team batting second got to at least 200 plus. So,
Is there any indication of which wicket they're playing on?
I shall tell you in a second once we have that intel, but I can only imagine it's going to be a good one. It's not going to be one of those slow
True,
ones.
because when GT plays MI, they generally play on that black soil wicket, which doesn't offer much to MI. But I understand, I know where you're going.
Where
but
am I
still,
going?
Yeah, I mean,
Where was I going?
that it's not going to be a flat wicket because it's not going to be a turner because it's an eliminator, but still.
It's actually an important point which we didn't cover at the eliminator, that Mumbai also eliminated GT from coming to Ahmedabad, who would have been quite a threat to Punjab Kings playing at home and potentially in a final too. So
and our producers have confirmed that it's pitch number 7, which is a red soil pitch.
Yeah,
it's the same pitch that they, for GT CSK and GT RR, which were both pretty high scoring games. I think
it's a high scoring wicket.
Yeah,
so GT CSK was an afternoon game, but yeah, I take your point. And the last evening game here in Ahmedabad, the LSG GT game where LSG smashed 230 and Mitch Marsh got the 100. I don't remember as much dew coming in, even though now we're well into May. We've only had one evening game since the resumption in Ahmedabad. So there's that for you to consider. But it's not a bad toss result. You'd think MI were also well conditioned to batting first, having chosen to do so when they beat Gujarat in Punjab. Now they must beat Punjab in Gujarat. Now let's have a look at the MI team. Reece Topley, you waited a long time on the bench, and now the tall left-arm seamer we thought was backup for Trent Bolt will partner Trent Bolt, as Richard Gleeson's cramps haven't recovered, you'd think, after having to walk off in the final over of the eliminator, unable to complete it. Raj Bawa's elusive role in the team is yet to be discovered, but he keeps his place as Ashwini is on the bench, perhaps the likeliest option in the second half, though there is still Raghu Sharma, the replacement for Puthur, who hasn't played at all, and Karan Sharma clearly is still injured, so they will not have the option of leg spin. Right, let's get a reaction on that. Topley.
Yeah, I quite like it. And to be honest, I meant to mention it the other day when Gleeson came into the side for the first time. That there's a guy called Reece Topley that's been sitting in the dugout for the whole of the IPL. He would have done all the prep, all the training, all this game simulations, whatever you like, and he's also an experienced bowler. He's an international bowler.
Good new ball bowler.
Yeah, and he's different than Trent Bolt. People will say, oh, another left arm, you don't want another left armer, but you'd never say that if it was another right-hander.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of those funny, it's a bit like left-hand batters and right-hand batters, but he's different, he's taller, he's about 6'7", high ball release, can swing it, and he's very different than Trent Bolt. So there's a nice sort of way they can complement each other.
I almost see this as quite a significant threat for Punjab's opening batters now.
Yeah.
Yes, Dayal seemed to trouble Priyan Sharia to have two different lefties.
Anybody who can bring it back into Prabhsimran Singh and take it away from Priyan Sharia, especially from that off stump, middle off, is a huge threat.
Yeah.
I think it might be a forced change as well, because we saw Gleeson struggle with a bit of cramp, or we weren't sure what it was. He wasn't able to complete it.
He's got a niggle, it says at the toss. They said that he's got a niggle.
But Topley has grown as a good all-phase bowler too, where not necessarily just a new ball bowler.
He's got great sort of, particularly the right hand. He's got that one that goes across and the cut, takes the pace off it, so the ball's always, tracking away from the right-hander. So he's a skilled bowler. So he can definitely bookend the innings. He can bowl a couple up front, and if you need him at the end, you've got a couple or one to use there.
Was Gleeson more of a batter? Correct me if I'm wrong, or does he not bat at all? So that wasn't
he bats, but at number 11, about where you normally are.
Yeah, true. No, still too high.
Chahar is clearly not recovered. Apparently, he did bowl yesterday, but
Deepak Chahar,
they were trying to get him ready, but obviously he's not.
You don't want to go into a big game like that with a half-fit player, for sure.
Totally. All right, now let's just spend some time on the man who's considered. It's actually an arms ringer to think calling him cheat code is unfair, but it's only the highest compliment you can pay because he feels like he's leagues above anybody else. Dustin is going to make this about Bumrah wearing his finest attire. He's going to now save it up for this segment that will last for a lifetime. Give it to us, Dustin. Take it away with Bumrah.
Yeah, so our colleague Sid Monga has done a lot of digging on Bumrah, just looking at how this is one of the all-time great seasons for any IPL bowler. I mean, his economy rate is 6.3 this season. I mean, the next best, even guys like Hazelwood, who you would say are having an outstanding season, are going at just a tick over 8. And here's Bumrah going at almost 2 runs and over less than them. So the gap between him and every other pace bowler is just vast. And then we were looking at kind of his lengths and what kind of lengths he's hit. He's hit almost 40% of his balls have been attempted Yorkers. So either right in the block hole or maybe just slightly underpitched or slightly overpitched. If you can look at the league average, it's just over 20%. The accuracy of the Yorker is again higher than the league average. And then the economy rate of the Yorker is less than 6. And that's because even when he misses his Yorker, because he misses it just by a bit, because he sometimes gets reversed, because of, I guess, the action, even his full tosses and his slightly underpitched Yorkers don't go for that many runs. Whereas for the rest of the league, you know, full toss is going at more than 11 and over, and which is why they attempt less Yorkers than Bumrah does. And the other thing is he just rarely gives you a slot ball. So I think we looked again at the number of slot balls he gives you. It's less than 8%. The league average is about 14%. Even the slot balls go at just 8 and over, but he's giving you so few of those slot balls that are actually hittable. And then the other thing we looked at was the slower balls, which he's bowled about 58 slower balls this season. And 5 wickets have come off slower balls, just 5.3 economy rate of the slower ball. And again, the lengths of the slower balls are almost all either right up there or into the pitch. There's nothing that's kind of just in the hitting arc.
That's because, see, the biggest thing is, yeah, the Yorkers are great, but when he misses, what he was saying, when he misses by bowling a low full toss or a slot ball, the ball is always coming into the righty and leaving the lefty. So it's never easy to line him up. So he's just one of those bowlers who has his action really going for him, and obviously great mental aspects to hold his cool in pressure situations.
Yeah, all those numbers are extraordinary. You know, they are, you know, unbelievable, and it's great to see it all broken down like that. But what leads to those numbers is the uniqueness of his bowling action.
Yeah.
Because he's got that brace front leg that we've talked about, because he's got that, you know, incredible sort of arm speed that surprises every batter that first comes to the crease, or even if they're not first at the crease, like Washington Sundar. The other day, he was, you know, he'd been out there for some time and got an absolute peach of a ball that anyone would have been bowled with. Because he's got those sort of technical, you know, differences, it just puts him in a league where he's so harder to deal with than the rest, because it's not sort of streamlined. It's not one of those actions that you see cleanly. It suddenly comes onto you like a, you know, rocket. You look at his run-up. He just shuffles in. He's like he's going to bowl a little medium pacer at you. So there's so many challenges before the ball's actually released, and when it comes, it flies at you. So there, your response is always more challenging than it is for someone else that's bowling a similar pace, but with a clean action.
If you have to prepare batters to try and give them the best chance to succeed against Bumrah, and you try and think of very few who have, and not everybody can produce AB de Villiers, but Rishabh Pant, I think, at one point spoke of the ability to access behind the wicket so much more being a huge advantage when you play Bumrah. It's harder to try and hit him over the covers or over mid-off. Can you confine yourself as a batter to almost look there when you play Bumrah?
Yeah. You know, I was thinking the other day about Bumrah, and I was trying to liken him to someone that I'd sort of come across, you know, many years ago now, back in my playing days. And the person that he reminds me a lot of, not from a point of view of, you know, similar bowlers, but is Wasim Akram. Wasim Akram was one of those bowlers that, you know, to answer your question, when you faced up against him, this is when reverse swing was at its absolute peak, you had to shorten your back lift. So to refer to your point about what Punt said, so basically it's, okay, that's fine, you've got to try to score behind the wicket, but how do you do that? So one of the hows is shorten your back lift, play the ball as late as possible. So you're not trying to play the ball in front of you, you're playing the ball right in body, you know, at your body, within your body, and you're laying the ball off using his pace. You're not, anyone that's going at them, like a Bumrah or an Akram, that example, it just opens up so many opportunities for that class to be able to wander through your defence and rush you or catch you out with a slower ball, punching it to cover and thinking, oh, where's that come from? So it's just shortening your back lift and just playing the ball as late as you can. And trying to get the ball behind square. You're going to have the opportunity to go down the ground.
And try to play on the onside. If you remember the best players against him, DK has a really good strike rate. AB, Virat, JP Dumni played him really well as well. So these guys, like let's take the example of the righties. They're predominantly really good onside players. So, and with Bumrah's angle coming in, I was having a look at his action just today. I was doing a segment. He bowls from almost wide of the crease, but his arm is actually coming over almost not the wide line, the line which almost is the edge of the wicket. So he's bowling from one area, the arm comes over that.
Right.
So it's just creating a huge angle which is always following you. So you've got to open up the onside and again try to use the space better than anything else.
I think English becomes key here.
Yeah.
As a player who
Shreyas as well.
accesses that.
Very open stance. Easier for him to get the leg out of the way.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen bowlers try to lap him, and you think, oh, why don't you just try and lap Bumrah? And then Finchy said, because the next ball he'll come here.
Make sure you got insurance and a good dentist.
Finchy said, I saw that, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me try and see if I can lap him. And I was like, oops, this one's come right here. I'm not doing that again. So, boom. All right. Just tell you, there's a little bit of a drizzle at Ahmedabad, just to add to the drama. We don't expect it to be significant to the course of the day, given that the weather is pretty much clear, which is precautionary. We might have a few minutes delay. We have 2 hours. We don't have a reserve day, but we have 2 hours before we start losing overs. So we'll get enough time, enough play. But if you are one of those who wants to check what happens if we have no play today, the team that finished higher on the league position will prevail. So all that just for your information, but we will have a game. So let's talk about the bowling first combination matchup that's intriguing. Yuzvendra Chahal is back. He'll have to bowl to an informed Mumbai Indians batting lineup, all-round Mumbai Indians batting lineup. Now, what screams to each of you there? Is it the first name on the list, striking 112, average 13, 4 dismissals to Johnny Bairstow?
Well, Johnny will be out of the blocks well and truly before Chahal gets the ball in his hand, I would have thought. Well, if he plays anything like he did the other day, he does his damage in the power play. And that's pretty much his role. You know, if he kicks on, even better. But he just did that so well. But yeah, that's very alarming.
I mean, you got 3 batters he's got a good matchup with.
Suryakumar Yadav, that's the big one.
Yeah.
Because you know what Yuzi does to Surya? He bowls slow and wide to him. Surya loves to sweep the ball. He loves a little pace on the ball from a spinner, but Yuzi just does not give him that. He bowls those early 80 kilometers per hour, late 70s, really slow, but a lot of revs on it, which he can. A lot of bowlers can't bowl that slow because they don't put any revs on it and it's a nothing ball. Surya can easily carve them through the offside. But to Surya, he's always gone wide lines and slow.
I recall him getting caught deep cover, trying to take that wide sort of slow looping ball that you're talking about, trying to hit it over extra because it's slow and got revs on it. The turn just takes it square.
Exactly. I think that's how Adil Rashid got him in the T20 World Cup semi-final as well. So it's again a type of bowler who can bowl that. What's ironic there is Tilak Verma's really good record against him, but Tilak actually doesn't have as good a record against leg spin for a left-hand batter. Now, what is his strength to Surya is possibly a weakness where Tilak doesn't mind the ball floated up a little more. It's the bowlers that bowl it quick through the air that tend to get him stuck.
Tilak is one of those lefties who is really good at the cut shot also, and he rocks back really quickly and plays a cut shot. So that's when Yuzi struggles against lefties. If you remember against Puran this year, he got Puran out in the first game. And that was again bowling that sliding ball, which is really wide. But what Tilak really does well is he can obviously sweep you, which is his go-to shot for a bowler who comes into him, but also immediately rock back and carve him through point.
He's got a very good reverse sweep, which Puran doesn't use much. So that's where that you sense a bit of smart play here. Mumbai tend to be well prepared. Like, okay, if we see Chahal versus Surya and Tilak in the middle, which is a likely scenario, right? Surya can take down the bad ball and whatnot, but don't try and go too hard against that matchup. Tilak is the guy to take him down. You see, am I being conscious of those numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about maybe Tilak coming in at number 3, but if the time's not right, as in the timing of when Chahal's going to be bowling the bulk of his overs, maybe they just hold back him for that phase when Chahal's really due to be bowling, his 4 overs, because that's quite a stark difference between the rest of the batting.
How do you think the wrist injury might affect him, Varun? He's not played the last couple of games, so coming back, or do you think that unless he was 100% fit, they would have never played him in this game?
No, I'm sure they would have taken a lot of precautions. Also, there's, medical intervention has advanced a lot. He might have taken some really good nerve blockers to maybe not let that pain go to him and play this game, because you wouldn't go into this game with anybody who's less than 90% fit.
Well, it's a good point, because we're all assuming Chahal's back and we're expecting Chahal at his best to be bowling, but Chahal's missed 2 games in the league now and the playoff, so that's been a while for Yuzvendra Chahal in a really important game. Bit of cat and mouse with the weather. Umpires were walking out, covers had gone off, covers are back on. Just a drizzle, annoying little drizzle. What it gives us the chance to do is continue having these conversations on the pre-show. So let's break down the power play. Pretty sure we'll get a full game anyway. So next up presents Power Play Conversations, coming your way now. All right, now let's try and think of Bairstow and Rohit. Seem to love batting with each other. The evidence of one game, it just seems like a match that has so much to put a smile on your face if you're a viewer. But Punjab have serious business here. Arshdeep had an off 2 overs with a small score. How do we see the power play playing out, and what are Shreyas's options here? What are his plans to get one of those 2 openers early?
Dangerous with rain coming down, because that would reduce the amount of swing you're going to get. Ball's going to be slightly wet, which gives Bairstow and Rohit the edge, because with Bairstow you want to be slightly full, and if the ball is not moving and you're slightly full, he can also punish you. So with Rohit and Bairstow, the key is the length. Both the batsmen love to wait on the back foot and go over square leg and fine leg. Somehow they've got to get their length right today. Very, very important.
Dustin made a nice point that day, even though the game was done, about Punjab still need to take something from this bowling innings. Maybe Kyle Jamieson was that something, with just the 3 overs that he bowled to Kohli.
On a very helpful wicket.
Yeah, it's going to be slightly different now. It had the ball on a string, didn't it? And it was bending it around corners. So it'll be very interesting if this surface is what we expect, a very good flat surface. His accuracy will have to be not, this, much of a gathering. He needs to be hitting, a very small area to be consistent, because I'd imagine they will go after him.
Yeah,
they will target him, because he's a good bowler that relies on bounce and line and length. But if there's nothing there, batters can just run at him and throw him off that length. And he hasn't got the pace like a Hazlewood to give you that sort of second guessing. Maybe I won't charge this because Hazlewood's got a good quick bouncer. So he hasn't quite got that. And both these players will think, no, I'm just going at him and going straight downtown, and if he dips it short, well, that's right into my wheelhouse.
He did have a decent game against Mumbai in the last league game, though, right? Where he
Arshdeep.
Both Arshdeep and Kyle, right?
And Jamieson.
Jamieson bowled that 1 over in the death for just 5 or 6 runs. He was using the off-cutter quite a bit, so maybe he'll take some confidence from that.
I think Arshdeep and Janssen together were really threatening that day. But I'm now just thinking, with Chahal as the only spin option, we saw those economy rates there, and Harpreet Brar might be expensive, but it's been such a tempting option to go to. Let's say Bairstow gets and Rohit get the seamers away in 2 overs. You don't really have a spinner that you can throw the ball to bowl in the first 6.
But then, Raunak, it's also about the back end, right? Now, if you play Harpreet and Yuzi together, who's going to bowl with Arshdeep in the death? And that's an area where Mumbai really dominate in the death. So they've obviously gone with Vaishak to give a kind of experienced hand who can support Arshdeep in the death, because otherwise Kyle Jamieson, not known for bowling in the death. Omarzai has gone for plenty in the past. So that's one area which can really be an area of trouble.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of whether the only discussion was, is it between Brar and Omarzai of the kind of player we need? Maybe we want Vaishak, because he has a very, very specialized skill of being able to bowl middle to end. But could we have gone Brar, who gives you something with the bat? It's not like he's incapable to give you something with the bat. Could we have been a little creative here and bold and play 1 less overseas and consider Brar and Omarzai?
Yeah, definitely could have. But if you look at their template throughout this year's IPL, it's always been bat deep. Yeah. They've always had that insurance down at 7, 8, 9. So, and I think that in a way psychologically just frees up the top order.
Yeah.
They're thinking, right, we've got batting. I think they had Kyle Jamieson at 11 last game. So they're batting right down to 11. It just gives them the license to play freely.
Yeah, I mean, remember, they needed to use the batting impact sub in the last game. Of course, that was because of a massive collapse, but that's already also probably playing on their mind that, listen, we can't shorten the batting lineup any further.
Very good point. And I guess this is their batting first 11, right? If they were, this is their bowling first 11. If they were made to bat first, whether they would have kept their options a little open, who knows? With the kind of, game they just had in the last one. There's still a bit of rain coming down. It's a bit annoying, but gives us some time to actually discuss. Two people sitting in the dugout. You can do very little once the game starts, which I'm sure it will soon. But there's a nice history that has intertwined Mahela Jayawardene and Ricky Ponting, both of fame and success with the Mumbai Indians, both quality, high-profile players and coaches with big reputation. And how you see knowing the two of them, how you see this playing out for both in terms of pressure, in terms of what their own personal goals are, which we discussed a little bit last time. But they both have high expectations of them.
Yeah, very much so. Ponting more than Jayawardene, I feel. Like Ricky, yes, he's had success with Mumbai a number of years ago. And since then, I think he had 7 years at Delhi. And those 7 years, were middling. He got to playoffs a couple of times, but they didn't really nail it. And they had a really good squad too in those early phases. Yes, it was young, but the young stars they were. So he'll probably feel more pressure, particularly given they lost the first qualifier, thinking how hard it is to get into this position. And I just don't want that lost opportunity because he's had a dry spell, for an elite coach. He hasn't, it's not like he's won every second or third year. Where Mahela Jayawardene has won 2 titles. He's had two extremes, hasn't he? He's either got them to a title or they haven't even qualified.
Yeah, 3 titles actually. 17, 19 and 20.
Apologies, 3. So he desperately, would like another one. But I don't think the same pressure is there. There may be some external pressure, but he won't be feeling the pressure.
It's an interesting one, given Mahela has never lost the IPL when MI make the playoffs. But MI always won those IPLs, having been 1 or 2. So this is a slightly unique challenge. But where do you think he ranks in terms of the elite coaches or the IPL's great coaches? There's always that conversation of look at the team MI had, which you tend to associate with perhaps the coach's job was made easy. The last few years, we have questioned significantly the holes in the MI team, especially the bowling in recent years. Now it suddenly feels like this is a damn good team again. So how would you rate Mahela Jayawardene as an IPL coach?
Oh, very highly.
Right.
I think he's done a terrific job. He sort of moved out of coaching into that director of cricket role for Mumbai, and they've brought him back into coaching their IPL outfit. He's obviously got great playing experience in the IPL. He's got great international playing experience, and he's transitioned really well into a coach. I think Mahela, certainly from my experience, when I coached Sri Lanka, he was the captain. He's got a great cricketing mind. He reads the game really well. And what I like about Mahela as the captain, this is probably also relates to him as the coach, is that he's an over ahead of the game. He's not chasing the game. A lot of captains or coaches react to something that's happened in the game. But the best leaders, whether it be on or off the field, are ones that can foresee what's potentially happening an over or 2 ahead and create opportunities to derail that.
The other thing with Mahela is he had one of the best captains as well when he won those 3 seasons. I think Rohit is one of the best captains, if not the best captain.
It's critical.
Which is very, very important. If you have a good coach and captain relationship, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I wonder if we also got a glimpse of Mahela's own personal emotions and what kind of, what he's thinking in the last game, where you saw him get up, get quite animated, get quite expressive, which is not usually the Jayawardene right through the season. But when Washi and Sai were whacking it around, you saw him sort of say, okay, fine, need to get off my chair now. I think Bumrah had to almost tell him to
come down.
Sit down quietly. And I wonder if that tells us, if we have to read about what that tells us.
Surely, because they had a really bad season last year. And just like Tom said, if somebody has that much repute as a coach, you don't expect him to have a complete blowout of a season. Yeah, somewhere just slightly missed qualification and stuff like that. But last year was really bad. So especially after a year like that, Mumbai Indians, that would have been a very tough pill to swallow. And this year coming back into the playoffs, they must be like, you know what, we've got to win it. We've got to beat that CSK, that rivalry. Not rivalry, I mean that toe-to-toe kind of race they have with CSK and become the first team to win 6.
Well, what do you think he would have been telling the team, Tom, after the start they had? They won, what, 1 in the first 5?
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that they had some memories of the previous season where things didn't go right. What do you think Mahela would have been doing to keep the squad together and still believing that they can make the playoffs?
I think in the early parts of the season, you're still trying to build the environment and the culture that you want in that environment. So I think by not showing that you're flustered in that situation is really important, because as soon as you panic or show signs of panic, whether that be through selection or just your body language or whatever it may be, suddenly that filters down into the group. So then the trust between what you've been saying for the first few weeks to what's currently presently happening it's very different. So you end up the players sort of not feeling as comfortable because they're feeling that you're under the pump. So those moments that you touched on, with Mahela getting out of his chair and being animated, that's players starting to panic themselves, thinking, "Oh gosh, we're not used to this." So ideally, you want your leaders, whether it be on-field leaders or off-field leaders, when you're under pressure, just to be calm, just to be absolutely calm and don't miss a beat, because you've been in the dugout when you've got people in that situation that are panicking. It just ripples through the team, and suddenly the team loses confidence.
True, it's a trickle-down effect. Like, you want a captain and coach to be as calm as possible and not show any sign of panic. And when you see panic, that's generally when the team understands that, okay, something is not going according to plan. But again, coming back to your question, most good coaches just keep calm, and especially Mumbai Indians, they've been in that position so many times, so they have past experience to take from and be like, you know what, we can make up all these games towards the back end and take their momentum into the playoffs like they've done this year.
All right. Well, to wrap it up, just for fun, I won't ask the three of you, because Tom is a person of interest in this. But if you had an unlimited budget and you had to hire one coach, Ponting, Mahela, Fleming, Moody, as the
No, don't have me in there. Just do the three.
Or let me change the question and get Tom involved. Moody is director of cricket.
Okay.
And now we're looking for the head coach over here. So Ponting, Fleming, Mahela is the three overseas coaches who are still active in the IPL, who have won it. Who would you go for? Dustin, in your franchise.
I've never played in an IPL team.
Dustin,
That's an unfair question to ask.
You answer so many things
You've
here.
virtually been playing every single game.
Everything you are analyzing.
No,
Dustin,
that's not a question for a non-cricketer.
What a guy.
Because
every owner is a non-cricketer. You know that, no? What is
I would ask the players.
Wrong question. Say if you were owner of a team, who would you pick? Now,
I would ask my captain and players who's
No, you're the owner of the team.
Who are the coaches?
No. Finally, now I won't ask you. Bad boy.
Who are the options again?
Ponting, Fleming, Mahela.
I mean, Fleming's won 5, so Fleming 5.
I would go Ponting, because I just really love what he stands for. And I know a lot of my friends who've been a part of Ponting's teams. He really gets the youngsters into it, and he's a player's coach. I don't have that much information about Mahela, to be very honest.
Tom.
Do I need to answer this?
You're the director of cricket. You have to hire one of them.
It depends. It depends about negotiations.
They're all available on the same price.
Oh, it's too hard for me. Far too hard. I've got a huge amount of respect for all three of them, and I think they're all they're very different coaches, but I think they're all elite. There's no question about that.
Okay. I would hire you, Tom.
Thank you, Ron.
I would. And because, of course, I can't be coach, but you can. I can be director of cricket. So, yeah, I'll hire Tom. And anyway, that's where we leave it. I can tell you that there's a slight unexpected storm at Ahmedabad, and we hope it really doesn't eat into overs a long time before we start losing them. So let's hope it all settles quickly. Forecast is still clear, but that tells you all about the Met department at Ahmedabad, where it's raining right now, but it's still clear on the forecast. Let's assume it's a full game, gentlemen, and you do know there'll be some amount of sweating and water over there now because of the rain. Let's get first inning scores for the Mumbai Indians with the Punjab Kings bowling first. Varun?
How many overs are we talking?
20, full game.
Okay. I'm going to go 190.
190, okay. Tom?
211.
Ooh, you're going MI today.
Specific 11.
Dustin?
I'm going to go even bigger. I'm going to say 227.
Yeah, well, the average first inning score is higher. It's 221, I believe. So Dustin's gone just above. Tom's gone just below. Varun is well below. Yeah, I'll go with. I wanted to go somewhere closer to Tom and Dustin, but now it'll be too close. So I have to go higher.
Come on.
240. Let's go 240.
Really?
Let's smash it around today, shall we? Johnny against his old franchise.
Yes.
So let's see how that plays out. Thank you, Varun. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Dustin. We have some time on our hands before the first ball is on, but ESPN Cricket will have you covered. If you're watching, of course, in India, Jio Hotstar will have you covered as well. Catch the live action. Join us at the end of the Mumbai Indians innings on Nexa Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. See you soon.
Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.